India is an agricultural country and this segment contributes a major chunk to overall GDP. Being an essential service, supplies were not impacted for this sector during the lockdown and hence it saw decent growth in terms of production and sales. Fertilizer consumption is directly related to growth in the agriculture sector of the country. Fertilizer are basically chemicals used to enhance crop growth. In fact, in last 7 months, that is from April to October, fertilizer sales were up around 17% on a YOY basis. However, important to note that Indian economy depends 39% on fertilizer imports and that has gone up by 18% in last few months. India is the second largest consumer of fertilizer in the world and the most commonly used fertilizer in India is urea, that is around 55% due to higher subsidies. This is followed by DAP, NPK fertilizers, which are basically complex fertilizers. Now let's look at the raw materials used for making fertilizers. Urea, that is the biggest chunk in the consumption basket, uses gas as the raw material. In fact, 50 to 80% of the raw material for urea is gas. And we have been discussing gas prices are at a multi-year low and hence this is a positive for fertilizer companies. Other raw materials used are phosphoric acid, ammonia, sulfur, rock phosphates and prices of these raw materials are also down anywhere between 8 to 25% in last 7 to 8 months. So this definitely is a big tailwind for the fertilizer industry. This sector is highly subsidized and in the current subsidy regime, this subsidy is paid to the fertilizer company instead of the farmer. Fertilizer companies, they sell products at lower price to the farmers which is later on reimbursed by the government to these companies. In fact, for FY21, government has budgeted 71,310 crore rupees, which is split between urea and nutrient-based fertilizer subsidy. The current subsidy regime can be divided into two parts, urea and complex fertilizers. For urea manufacturers, the maximum retail price, that is the farm gate price, is fixed by the government and it is regulated. And the difference between the company and the farm gate prices is the subsidy reimbursed by the government to the manufacturer. Hence, any fluctuation in raw material prices is passed on to the government in the form of lower or higher subsidy. So, if the gas prices are lower in a year, we can expect subsidies to be lower. Under the other regime, the subsidy is given to the companies and it is fixed annually on the basis of its nutrients content, that is nitrogen, phosphate, etc. And that is on a per kilogram basis, which is then converted into subsidy per ton depending upon the nutrient content in each grade of the fertilizer. The manufacturers are free to decide prices that is based on their cost, strategy and these rates are determined taking into account the international and domestic prices, the exchange rate and inventory level in the country. Urea right now you can see gets the highest percentage of subsidy and hence the production is so much and the consumption as well. But what could be the next trigger for this sector? Well, Commission of Agricultural Costs and Prices has recommended cash fertilizer subsidy of 5,000 rupees per annum and this will be done through a direct benefit transfer route into their bank accounts. They've said that it should be disbursed in two tranches or 2,500 rupees each in Kharif and Rabi seasons. But how will this help companies? Well, currently, government disperses subsidy between 60 to 150 days from due date and it causes a lot of working capital strain for fertilizer companies leading to debt and cash flow issues. Companies, in fact, have around 15 to 60% of their working capital just stuck in fertilizer subsidies and this is a cause of big concern. If this direct benefit is transferred to farmers directly, analysts expect substantial improvement in the capital employed return for these companies. As you can see, the examples are here. Also, they say that this implies that urea prices will be deregulated and the price difference between urea and other complex fertilizers will narrow to 10 to 60% from current 190 to 320%. Apart from that, government is also planning revival of 5 fertilizer plants to increase indigenous production. 4 belong to Fertiliser Corporation and 1 to Hindustan Fertilizer Corporation. Post the commissioning of all the above plants, the domestic urea production is slated to increase by at least 63.5 lakh tons per annum, which will ultimately bring down imports by 70% of urea. So definitely, this sector could also be a beneficiary of Make in India theme.